All right, picture this. You've just escaped city chaos, traded honking horns for chirping birds, and moved into a suburb so clean it looks like it was pressure washed by Stepford robots. The lawns? Laser measured. The fences? HOA approved beige. The silence? So thick you can hear your own sanity slipping away. You're thinking, yes, tranquility. Until the realization hits. This isn't peace. This is prison with better landscaping. Now meet Leo, the unsuspecting suburban refugee. He's a remote graphic designer with a wife, a mortgage, and too much time to stare out the window. His biggest crime? Craving a bit of rustic charm. Just a couple of chickens, fresh eggs, morning clucks, a wholesome touch of farm-to-table life in a cul-de-sac that smells like HOA pamphlets and fertilizer. But the HOA? Oh, they said cluck no. You see, every HOA comes armed with a sacred text, the handbook, a thick, soul-sucking binder that reads like the 10 Commandments of bored bureaucrats. Thou shalt not have mailbox individuality. Thou shalt not paint your shutters too joyfully. Thou shalt not keep poultry. Leo, in his infinite optimism, thought, how bad could it be? It's just a few hens. But Brenda Wexler, the HOA president and self-appointed goddess of neighborhood uniformity, was ready. She had her highlighter holstered and her passive-aggressive tone set to maximum stun. When Leo emailed a politely worded request, something about a small-scale artisanal poultry enclosure to promote sustainability, Brenda struck back faster than a Karen in a return policy argument. Her response was a hand-delivered, cream-colored envelope that basically said, no poultry, no livestock, no joy. Sincerely, the beige regime. And that's when Leo's suburban enlightenment began. Because you don't just say no to a man armed with Google, caffeine, and spite. The HOA might have banned chickens, but they underestimated the raw, chaotic energy of a homeowner pushed past his breaking point. He wasn't chasing eggs. Oh no. This had mutated into something primal, something bigger. This was about freedom, defiance, and finding loopholes in the HOA matrix. You know that switch in your brain that flips when someone tells you you can't? Yeah, Leo's flipped so hard it shorted the neighborhood Wi-Fi. He started studying the handbook like a medieval scholar decoding forbidden scripture. He discovered the HOA's chicken clause. No poultry, livestock, or animals intended for agricultural use. But guess what it didn't say? Anything about exotic birds of security relevance. Somewhere between rage and genius, Leo connected the dots. If chickens were banned, what about something bigger? Something not technically poultry? That's the moment he stopped being a homeowner and became a strategist in the suburban underground. You ever notice how HOAs treat their rules like divine commandments, but they always leave one loophole so absurd you could drive a golf cart through it? That's what Leo found. Other animals may be kept for security purposes, provided they do not create a nuisance. Oh, Brenda, you absolute fool. Leo's eyes lit up like a man discovering fire. He whispered the forbidden phrase, guard birds. From that moment on, he wasn't fighting for eggs. He was fighting for every soul who ever got a violation letter for leaving their trash can out 14 minutes too long. He was about to make HOA history, one ridiculous legal loophole at a time. And if you think that was wild, wait till you see Fact 2, where Leo turns his suburban rage into a full-blown avian legal masterclass and discovers the golden loophole that makes emus the ultimate HOA glitch in the system. It's 2 a.m. The world is asleep. The sprinklers outside whisper compliance. And there sits Leo, bleary-eyed, surrounded by coffee cups, and rage. He's not just scrolling the internet. He's on a mission from God. Specifically, the god of petty revenge and malicious compliance. His battlefield? The HOA handbook. His weapon? Semantics. Picture him hunched over like a man decoding ancient hieroglyphs, muttering things like, define poultry,
Define livestock. Define sanity. Because that's what you do when you've been told no chickens by someone who signs her emails, "Warm regards, Brenda." See, HOAs thrive on vague language. It's their whole thing. They love terms like "for aesthetic consistency" or "community standards," which basically mean you'll do what we like or we'll fine you until you cry. But vague language has one fatal weakness. It can be weaponized. Leo found it, right there in the bylaws, glowing like the holy grail of suburban rebellion. Other animals may be kept for security purposes, provided they do not create a nuisance. Security purposes. Oh, Brenda, you played yourself. That one line was the linguistic equivalent of leaving your garage door open during a raccoon uprising. Now here's where Leo's descent into HOA legend truly began. He Googled the legal definition of poultry. Turns out it's surprisingly specific. Poultry, according to state agricultural codes, refers to birds like chickens, ducks, geese, turkeys, basically anything that clucks, quacks, or waddles. But emus, this prehistoric 6-foot-tall, flightless nightmares from Australia, they belong to an entirely different family. Ratites. They're not poultry. They're not livestock. They're chaos wrapped in feathers. Leo's eyes went wide. He was staring at the ultimate HOA cheat code. The clause said, no poultry. The law said, emus aren't poultry. The HOA allowed security animals. Connect the dots and boom, legal guard birds. He wasn't breaking rules. He was obeying them too literally. The HOA had written their own defeat into law. Let's pause for a second to appreciate this moment. A suburban man, armed with coffee and Google, outsmarted an entire board of middle-aged control enthusiasts by invoking the spirit of avian taxonomy. Shakespeare could never. And because Leo's brand of revenge was equal parts petty and poetic, he didn't stop there. Oh no. He started drafting documents, official-sounding letters, charts, footnotes, the kind of paperwork that makes HOA board members break into hives. He was preparing for bureaucratic war. He even practiced the pitch in front of a mirror. Yes, Brenda, they are not chickens. They are security assets of the species Dromaeus novae hollandia, perfectly compliant with Section 5, subparagraph 2b of your own rulebook. Can you imagine Brenda's face hearing that? That mix of confusion, fury, and the sudden realization that she might have to Google what a ratite is? Priceless. But this is where the story takes its first truly unhinged turn. Because once you open the door to guard birds, there's no going back. Leo didn't just want any birds. He wanted birds that could guard. Birds that would make a burglar rethink his life choices. Birds that said, this isn't your average suburban lawn. This is Jurassic Park with better property taxes. So he began his search, deep into the weird corners of the internet where normal pet owners fear to tread. Forums full of libertarian farmers, off-grid enthusiasts, and people who think ostriches are underrated companions. And somewhere in that digital wasteland, he found him. Gus. A man who sold fine fowl and sundries from a website that looked like it was built in 1997 by a guy who hates fonts. But in Gus's chaos, Leo saw opportunity. This was it, the supplier of suburban anarchy. And if you think finding a loophole was wild, wait until you see fact 3, where Leo actually buys 2 giant emus, names them after Greek gods, and brings Jurassic Park straight into his HOA-regulated backyard.
All right, so Leo has done it. He's found Gus, a man who sounds like he was born inside a feed store and raised by power tools. His website looks like it time-traveled straight from the dial-up era. No shopping cart, no PayPal, just a phone number that screams, "This call may summon a cryptid." Leo dials anyway. The phone rings 7 times, because of course it does. Finally, a gravelly voice answers.
Yeah?
Hi, is this Gus? Might be. Who's asking? Right there, you know this man doesn't sell pets. He sells problems. Leo, fueled by caffeine and destiny, clears his throat. I'm looking for, emus? There's a pause, a long one, the kind of silence where you start questioning your life choices. Then Gus chuckles, low and menacing, like the kind of laugh that belongs to a man who's wrestled both taxidermy and regret. Guard birds, huh? Been a while since someone called him that. All right, 2 for 1,000, cash only. Bring your own crate. Boom! Transaction secured. Leo is officially the proud, soon-to-be owner of 2 prehistoric feathered nightmares. Fast forward to Saturday. Leo's SUV is loaded with a massive crate, a fistful of cash, and a marriage held together by Chloe's fragile patience. She watches from the porch like someone witnessing a slow-motion car crash. "You're really doing this?" she asks flatly. "It's a sound investment in home security. Think of the peace of mind." "I'm thinking of the 6-foot birds that are going to eat our HOA." He drives off into the wild countryside, past the neatly paved streets of HOA-controlled suburbia, into the lawless farmlands where Gus reigns supreme. His GPS gives up halfway there. The road turns to gravel, then to dirt, then to pure chaos. And finally, he arrives. Gus's property looks like a cross between a Mad Max set and Noah's Ark if Noah had poor impulse control. There are pens, sheds, fences, and the distant sound of an animal that might be a goat or a demon. Gus himself emerges, overalls, mud boots, and a stare that could break concrete. "You the guard bird guy?" he grunts. "Leo," he says proudly, extending a hand. Gus ignores it. "Follow me." They walk past geese that look like they've seen war and llamas that definitely have. Then Gus stops at a pen. Inside are 2 creatures straight out of a prehistoric fever dream. Shaggy brown feathers, long necks, and eyes like ancient marbles of judgment. "There they are," Gus says. "Male and female. Good stock." They stare at Leo. Leo stares back. Somewhere deep inside him, something primal whispers, "You've gone too far." But that whisper is drowned out by the sound of his own ego yelling, "This is going to be amazing!" He names them Zeus and Hera on the spot, because if you're going to declare war on an HOA, you might as well bring Greek gods to the fight. Now, getting 2 emus into a crate isn't like walking a dog. It's like trying to stuff angry bagpipes into a suitcase. Gus helps, mostly by yelling, "Don't let him see fear!" while Leo wrestles feathers, feet, and his dignity. After 30 minutes and 3 near-death experiences, they're finally loaded into the car. The drive home is chaos. At first, it's quiet. Then Zeus starts making this low, drumming sound, like a bass speaker inside a chicken nugget. Halfway through, he opens the crate door. His head pops up in the rearview mirror, eyes wide, curious, and then he starts pecking the car's ceiling like it owes him money. "Zeus! No! Bad guard bird!" Leo yells, swerving. Hera, not to be outdone, responds by pooping like a tactical airstrike. The smell is apocalyptic. The windows go down, feathers fly, and Leo drives through suburbia looking like he just lost a fight with a rotisserie. When he pulls into his driveway, he's covered in dust, defeat, and bird poop. His neighbors peek through their blinds in silent judgment. Chloe steps outside, takes one look and sighs. They're adorable, and they're going to ruin our lives. That night, as the emus explore their new home, pecking shiny things, pacing the fence, and plotting their next act of chaos, Leo stands proudly, arms crossed. He's done it. He's outsmarted the HOA. He's turned suburbia into Jurassic Park, HOA edition.
Every HOA story has a villain, and at the top of this pastel pyramid sits Brenda Wexler, a woman so dedicated to order that she probably alphabetizes her cereal boxes. She doesn't just run the HOA, she is the HOA. Her morning routine consists of a 6 a.m. power walk, a protein shake, and a drive around the neighborhood in her pristine white golf cart of doom, scanning for non-compliant mailboxes and moral weakness. So picture it. It's a bright Friday morning in Quail Creek. The lawns are glistening, the air smells like conformity, and somewhere down the street, Brenda's visor glints like the blade of a bureaucratic sword. Meanwhile, Leo is sipping coffee, watching his two emus, Zeus and Hera, engage in their morning routine, which consists mostly of staring contests, pecking at garden gnomes, and pooping with authority. Then he hears it. The distant electric whir of Brenda's golf cart approaching like the world's slowest apocalypse. His blood pressure spikes. He knows what's coming. The HOA patrol has arrived. Brenda turns the corner, back ramrod straight, eyes scanning the neighborhood for sin. And then she sees them, two giant feathered monstrosities in Leo's backyard, standing tall and proud like living middle fingers to the HOA covenant. Her cart screeches to a halt. Her jaw drops. It's as if someone told her the cul-de-sac was being rezoned for a tattoo parlor. Leo, being the drama connoisseur he is, ducks behind his curtains to watch. Brenda sits frozen for a good 30 seconds, staring, eyes wide, brain buffering. Then Zeus lets out this low guttural boom, the sound of prehistoric authority. Brenda jumps like she's been tasered. Her cart lurches forward, stops again, and then she slams it into park and marches toward Leo's door, fury radiating off her like Wi-Fi. Leo opens the door, pretending to be surprised. "Good morning, Brenda," he says cheerfully. "Lovely day for a patrol." Her eyes are wild. "What are those?" she demands, pointing a trembling finger toward the yard. "Oh, them?" Leo says innocently. "Those are Zeus and Hera, my new security birds. Fantastic security presence. Really deters porch pirates." Brenda blinks. Once. Twice. Her jaw tightens. "Those are giant chickens on steroids. You know the rules, Leo. No poultry." Leo smiles, the smile of a man who's about to drop a legal nuke. "Ah, but see, that's where you're mistaken, Brenda. They're not poultry. They're ratites. Dromius novahilandia, to be precise. Entirely different classification. It's all very scientific. I can send you the PDFs. Brenda's brain visibly short-circuits. She stares at him like he just spoke fluent Latin. "I don't care if they're alien pigeons from Mars," she shrieks. "They do not belong in Quail Creek." "They're my security animals," Leo says calmly. "Article 5, Section 2 of the handbook allows animals kept for protection purposes. Are you saying you don't want my family to be safe, Brenda?" And there it is, the rhetorical checkmate. You could almost hear the HOA power draining from her body. Brenda sputters, That's the spirit of the law." Leo cuts her off. "The spirit of the law doesn't write the fines, Brenda. The letter of the law does. And the letter says, I'm good." There's a beat of silence. Then Brenda spins on her heels so fast her golf cart trembles. She storms off, muttering something about exotic nonsense and bylaws. Leo watches her go, arms crossed, grinning like a man who just pulled off the perfect heist. Back in her cart, her eye twitches, her visor tilted an angle of rage. The HOA queen has been publicly humiliated, and she's not about to take that lying down. You can practically hear the dramatic villain music start playing in the background. From that day forward, the war officially begins. The HOA's beige empire declares DEFCON 1. Brenda Wexler doesn't sleep. She doesn't eat. She plots. Somewhere in a candlelit living room, she's reading city ordinances, drafting emails, and Googling, "Can you evict someone for emotional poultry trauma?" Meanwhile, Leo toasts his victory with a smirk and a fresh pot of coffee. He thinks it's over. He thinks he's won. Oh, sweet summer child. Because in Fact 5, the HOA's retaliation takes shape, involving the police, the city, and the most awkward animal control visit in suburban history. Every great suburban war reaches that point where the enemy calls in reinforcements. For Brenda Wexler, that meant one thing: law enforcement. Because when logic fails, when the bylaws can't bend, and when two prehistoric birds are making your cul-de-sac look like a low-budget Jurassic Park reboot, you dial 911 for emergency HOA disruption. It's been 2 days since Brenda's meltdown, and Leo's living his best smug life. Zeus and Hera are adopting well, which means they're eating everything that glitters, pooping like industrial printers, and chasing garden gnomes as if they owe them money. The neighbors are split right down the picket fence. Team Brenda versus Team Emu. Some wave when they pass by. Others film TikToks from behind curtains like wildlife documentarians narrating in hushed tones. Here, we observe the suburban rebel in his natural habitat, feeding his feathered security personnel. But peace never lasts in HOA land. Around 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, Chloe looks up from her laptop and says those fateful words every suburban troublemaker dreads. "Leo, there's a police cruiser outside." Leo freezes mid-sip of his coffee. Slowly, he turns toward the window, and there it is. A black and white patrol car idling in front of their house, lights flashing lazily, the kind of slow roll that screams, "We don't want to be here, but Brenda wouldn't stop calling." Two officers step out, one older, one younger, both looking like men who expected to break up a domestic dispute, but are now mentally preparing to face dinosaurs. They walk up the driveway cautiously, glancing around like they're in a nature documentary narrated by David Attenborough. Leo opens the door before they knock, smiling like the world's most innocent man. "Good afternoon, officers. What can I do for you?" The older cop, Miller, clears his throat. "Sir, we received a call about, He glances at his partner, who's suppressing a grin. "Aggressive, unidentified creatures in your yard." "Unidentified creatures?" Leah repeats, feigning horror. "My God, where?" Miller points to the backyard. "Back there." "Oh," Leo says, pretending the revelation just hit him. "You must mean Zeus and Hera." The younger officer squints. "Sir, did you just say Zeus and Hera?" Right on cue, Zeus appears from behind the shed. 6 feet of feathered fury, neck craning, eye scanning, the embodiment of chaotic neutral energy. Hera follows, slower, more judgmental, like an ancient queen inspecting peasants. The officers stiffen. "Sir," the younger one says, "you are aware that you have, ostriches." "Emus, actually," Leo corrects politely. "And they're my registered guard animals, perfectly legal. I can show you the paperwork." Miller blinks. "Guard animals?" "Yes," Leo says matter-of-factly, handing over a folder so thick it could stop a bullet. "Article 5, Section 2, HOA bylaws. I'm within my rights to keep them for home security purposes." The younger officer looks at Miller like, is this guy serious? Miller flips through the pages. "You're saying these birds guard your house?" "Absolutely," Leo nods. "They're trained to deter threats." "Threats like what?" Miller asks. "Mail theft, porch pirates, bad vibes, general suburban dangers." At this point, the younger cop can't hold it in anymore. He snorts. "Bad vibes?" Right then, Hera strolls up, slow, deliberate, locking eyes with Miller like she's reading his soul. Zeus, meanwhile, sidles up to the cruiser and starts pecking at its side mirror with the precision of a professional vandal. Clack, clack, clack. "Sir," Miller says, voice trembling between amusement and alarm, "your security animal is attempting to dismantle our patrol car." Leo nods sagely. "He's inspecting it for weak points. Thorough, isn't he?" The younger cop bursts out laughing. "Okay, this is officially above my pay grade." After a few minutes of mutual disbelief and paperwork, Miller finally sighs, "All right, Mr. Maxwell, as long as they're contained and not harming anyone, this is a civil matter. You're good." Leo beams. "Thank you, officer. I'll let them know you stopped by. They take pride in their work." The cops retreat, dignity barely intact. As they drive off, Hera lets out a low drumming boom that vibrates the ground. A victory drum, if there was one. Brenda watches from her window across the street, seething. The cops didn't arrest him, they didn't confiscate the birds, they laughed. And laughter is the HOA's greatest enemy. Leo, meanwhile, now has official police confirmation that this is a civil matter. That means Brenda's war just lost its legal footing, and he just gained invincibility. He celebrates the win by giving Zeus a shiny spoon to peck at and Hera a handful of grapes. The birds, of course, have no idea they've just become local legends. But if you think Brenda's done, think again, because Fact 6 is when she escalates the battle from angry letters to legal warfare, summoning bylaws, amendments, and the full bureaucratic might of the HOA empire.
You know the saying, hell hath no fury like an HOA president publicly embarrassed by birds. After the police drive away, chuckling, Brenda Wexner sits in her kitchen, visor off, hands trembling, HOA binder open like a spell book of wrath. On her laptop, the glow of a Word document titled Emergency Bylaw Revision Draft 1 reflects off her glasses. She's not just mad, she's motivated. Somewhere in the background, her husband probably whispers, "Brenda, maybe let it go." But it's too late. She's entered what experts call petty mode ultra. Meanwhile, across the street, Leo's having the best week of his life. He's out there living like the hero of a suburban revolution. Zeus and Hera have become neighborhood celebrities. Kids stop by to feed them grapes. The mailman leaves bird treats in the mailbox. Even the contractor building Leo's patio has stopped charging him for nuisance fees and started charging for dinosaur hazard pay. But peace in the suburbs is a fragile thing. It only takes one HOA meeting to ruin everything. On Monday morning, a thick cream envelope arrives in Leo's mailbox. No return address, but he doesn't need one. He can smell the passive aggression through the glue. The heading on the letter reads, Notice of Emergency HOA Meeting Proposed Amendment to Article 4. The proposed rule? To prohibit the keeping, housing, or harboring of any avian species, domestic or exotic, exceeding a height of 24 inches at maturity. Brenda isn't just banning chickens now, she's banning tallness. This is surgical pettiness, the kind of amendment written with one specific neighbor in mind. You could practically hear her muttering, "Checkmate, Featherman." Chloe reads the letter and looks at Leo, wide-eyed. "Leo, this is serious. They're changing the bylaws. They can fine us, they can put a lien on the house." For a second, the wind leaves his sails. The rebellion suddenly feels real, legal, expensive, and terrifying. He looks out the window at Zeus and Hera, majestic in their chaos, pecking at a hose nozzle like it's an enemy of the state. These aren't just birds anymore. They're a statement. He clenches his jaw. "No," he says. "She's not going to win like this." And just like that, Leo transforms from guy with birds to suburban freedom fighter. He spends the entire week preparing. The dining table becomes a war room. Stacks of printed bylaws, annotated and highlighted, spread like maps of an upcoming invasion. He's digging through state agricultural codes, legal definitions, HOA precedents, even zoning loopholes that sound like spells from Harry Potter. Section 18B, variants of permitted animal ordinances, subsection routite. But he's not alone. Reinforcements arrive in the form of Old Man Fitzwilliam, the HOA's longest surviving rebel. Fitz has been waging a one-man war with the board for 15 years over the color of his garden gnome's hat, too blue for community standards. This man has seen things. He's the Yoda of homeowner defiance. Fitz shows up with a binder labeled HOA Battles Volume 3. He leans on Leo's fence, nodding approvingly at Zeus and Hera. "Magnificent," he says. "Reminds me of the Punic Wars. Unorthodox strategy, excellent execution." Together, they train like they're preparing for trial, because technically they are.
Fitz grills Leo on every possible argument. She'll call him a nuisance. They're visual deterrents. She'll say they trample flowers. They're providing free pest control. She'll claim they threaten property values. They are the property values. They rehearse late into the night. Chloe brings snacks and sarcastic commentary. Zeus and Hera listen from the yard, probably plotting to eat the HOA meeting chairs. By the time the day of the meeting arrives, Leo's ready. He's got evidence, he's got logic, he's got momentum. Brenda, on the other hand, has gone full warlord. She's recruited her most loyal followers, the ones who measure grass height for sport. The HOA clubhouse has been transformed into an arena of bureaucracy. There's a podium, a projector, and a PowerPoint presentation titled The Ratite Risk. Brenda steps up to the mic, smug and composed. The lights dim. Behind her, a grainy photo of Hera glows on the screen, red eye glinting like a demon. These creatures, she begins, pose a serious threat to our community's harmony, safety, and property values. The crowd gasps. Someone whispers, "She means the emus." Someone else says, "I think they're kind of cute." Brenda points at the screen. These birds are a violation of everything Quail Creek stands for. Leo smiles from his seat, flipping open his binder like a lawyer in a Netflix drama. He's about to turn this HOA circus into a courtroom comedy special. And if you thought this was the climax, hold on to your bylaws, because in Fact 7, Leo goes full lawyer mode at the HOA meeting, and something unbelievable happens that changes the course of Quail Creek.
It's Thursday night at the Manors of Quail Creek. The community clubhouse, normally used for bake sales and yoga classes that smell faintly of lavender and despair, is packed to the walls. The folding chairs creak under the weight of suburban tension. On one side, Team Brenda, the beige brigade, armed with clipboards, pearls, and the moral certainty of people who say, irregardless. On the other, Team Leo, an alliance of the curious, the chaotic, and the quietly rebellious. Even Old Man Fitz is there, front row, wearing a shirt that says, "Fear the Ratite." At the front, Brenda stands behind the podium, laser pointer in hand, a PowerPoint loaded and ready. Behind her, the first slide flickers to life, a blurry, zoomed-in photo of Hera, looking like she just escaped a Velociraptor exhibit. The title reads, The Ratite Risk, a community safety presentation. "Good evening, neighbors," Brenda begins, voice calm but trembling with barely contained fury. "We're here tonight to discuss a matter of great concern, the unauthorized presence of exotic animals in our neighborhood." Her tone drips with drama. If she had a soundtrack, it'd be violins and distant thunder. "These creatures," she continues, clicking to a new slide that reads, "Potential threats to property values," pose a clear danger to community harmony, safety, and aesthetics. She gestures dramatically. They are loud, destructive, and unsettling. Gasps ripple through the room. Someone whispers, "She means the emus." Someone else mutters, "I think they're kind of majestic." Brenda narrows her eyes. "We are not a zoo, people. We are a community." From the back, Leo raises a hand. "A community that allows security animals?" Brenda stiffens. "The spirit of that rule is not legally binding," Leo interrupts, standing up, binder in hand like he's about to cross-examine a witness on Law and Order HOA unit. The crowd murmurs. Old Man Fitz leans forward, whispering, "Hit her with Article 5, subsection 2. Leo strides to the front, confidence radiating off him like Wi-Fi. "Good evening, everyone," he says, turning to the audience. "My name's Leo Maxwell, proud resident of Lot 42, and yes, proud owner of 2 guard birds, Zeus and Hera." A few chuckles. Brenda glares daggers. "I know there's been concern, but let's look at the facts. The HOA handbook clearly permits animals kept for security purposes. It forbids poultry. Emus are not poultry. They are ratites. Different order, different classification, different everything." He slaps down a printed page. Right here, State Agricultural Code. Dramius novae hollandia is legally distinct from any species defined as poultry. A beat of silence.
Brenda squints like she's trying to see the fine print of her own downfall. Leo presses on. They are quiet, they are fenced, and they are non-aggressive. And they have successfully deterred 2 porch pirates, 1 stray raccoon, and a very nosy real estate agent. Half the room laughs, the other half pretends not to. This isn't about property values, Leo says, voice rising. This is about one person's obsession with control, about turning a neighborhood into a beige dictatorship. Is that the community we want? Or do we want a neighborhood that celebrates individuality, even if that individuality occasionally poops on the lawn? Someone from the back claps, then another. Brenda bangs her gavel like a queen losing her empire. Order! Order! She yells. And then it happens. A low thump, followed by another. Then, silence. Every head turns toward the side door, which has been propped open for fresh air. A shadow moves just outside. Then, slowly, a long neck slides into view. 2 enormous black eyes peer inside the clubhouse. Hera. She surveys the crowd like a feathery god of chaos, unblinking. Someone screams, someone else laughs. Old Man Fitz whispers, "Magnificent." Brenda goes pale. What is that? Leo tries and fails to look surprised. Oh, that's Zeus. He must have heard there was a meeting about him. Before Brenda can respond, Hera appears behind him, calm, regal, and terrifyingly composed. The 2 emus step inside, feathers gleaming under fluorescent lights, towering over the folding chairs. For one glorious moment, time stops. Then Zeus lets out his trademark boom, a deep, vibrating drumbeat that echoes through the room like an HOA Judgment Day horn. Half the audience bursts into laughter. The other half dives under tables. Brenda's PowerPoint flickers, her composure gone. Old Man Fitz leaps onto his chair, raising a finger like a prophet. I move to reject the amendment, he bellows. All in favor of joy, character, and magnificent creatures, say aye. Aye, roars the crowd, louder than any HOA meeting has ever been. Brenda stands frozen, clutching her gavel like it's the only thing keeping her from imploding. This meeting is out of order. But it's too late. The vote is done. The amendment dies on the spot, drowned in laughter, feathers, and the sound of collective rebellion. Zeus tilts his head proudly. Hera preens. Leo just stands there, grinning, soaking in the victory like the suburban legend he's just become. But as the feathers settle and the HOA's tyranny crumbles, one question remains. What happens after the rebellion? In Fact 8, we see the unexpected aftermath, where Leo's war turns into local fame, viral stardom, and the ultimate HOA truth.
The next morning, Quail Creek isn't just a neighborhood anymore. It's ground zero for the most absurd HOA rebellion in modern history. The sun rises over the cul-de-sac, glinting off freshly watered lawns, recycling bins, and the unmistakable silhouette of 2 6-foot emus pacing majestically in Leo's backyard like suburban deities. It's quiet. Too quiet. Then Leo's phone buzzes. Then again. Then again. Within minutes, it's a notification avalanche. Texts, calls, emails, and one particularly urgent message from Old Man Fitz that simply reads, "You're on the internet." Leo opens his phone, and there it is, a TikTok clip filmed by one of the teenagers from down the street. Caption, "HOA bans chickens, so my neighbor got emus. I can't make this up." The video shows Zeus and Hera marching across the lawn while Brenda screams, "This isn't over!" in the background like a defeated Disney villain. The clip has 1.7 million views. By noon, it's 10 million. By dinner, local news vans are parked outside. By midnight, Leo's face is trending on Twitter under hashtag #EmuHOARebellion. A reporter from Channel 6 is standing on his driveway holding a microphone, narrating like it's a nature documentary. Residents describe the birds as surprisingly polite and surprisingly intimidating. HOA officials decline to comment, citing pending bird-related discussions. The HOA board tries to release an official statement, but every attempt gets drowned out by memes. Someone photoshops Zeus wearing sunglasses and a security badge. Someone else makes a remix of Brenda yelling, "They're not chickens," over techno music. The internet has chosen its champion. And Leo?
He leans into it. He starts posting updates on social media. Day 3 of living with my security emus. Brenda just drove by slower than usual. Or, HOA wanted peace. I gave them peace, love, and prehistoric deterrence. Within a week, he's got sponsors, merch, and a following. His brand, Suburban Resistance with Style. Meanwhile, Brenda's having a full PR meltdown. Her inbox is flooded with interview requests and HOA president from other states asking for strategic advice. She turns down every one. She can't. She's been memed beyond repair. At the grocery store, someone whispers, "Is that the chicken lady?" And she nearly combusts. But here's the wild part. A week later, something shifts. At the next HOA meeting, a significantly smaller crowd this time, Brenda clears her throat. She looks tired, humbled, visor slightly askew. After reviewing recent events, she says carefully, the board has decided not to pursue further action regarding the guard birds. Translation, we give up. A murmur ripples through the room. Leo sits in the back, calm and composed, wearing an Emu Security Co. t-shirt. He doesn't gloat, he doesn't cheer, he just nods. The war is over. After the meeting, Brenda approaches him. For the first time, there's no fire in her eyes, just quiet resignation. They're actually kind of majestic, she admits softly. Leo smiles. They are, aren't they? And that's how peace returns to Quail Creek, not through compromise, but through emus. In the following months, Zeus and Hera become local celebrities. They appear in parades wearing community patrol vests. Kids visit them for school projects. Even the HOA newsletter, once Brenda's tool of tyranny, runs a feature titled, Guard Birds of Quail Creek, How 2 Emus Brought Unity to the Neighborhood. Old Man Fitz gets the last word, of course. During the next barbecue, he raises a glass and toasts to Leo, the man who proved the pen is mightier than the bylaw and the emu is mightier than the HOA. Everyone laughs. Even Brenda smiles slightly. And as the sun sets over the neatly trimmed lawns, Zeus and Hera stand tall at the fence line, their feathers glowing gold in the evening light. The neighborhood is calm, united, and slightly terrified, which is exactly how Leo likes it. But wait, every legend needs a legacy. Because in fact 9, we fast forward a year later when Leo's HOA war inspires copycats across the country, and a new movement takes root. Feathers Against Fascism, the Homeowner Rebellion.
Fast forward 1 year. The lawns of Quail Creek are as green as ever, the mailboxes still match, and the HOA newsletters have quietly returned to articles about recycling reminders and seasonally appropriate wreaths. But beneath the surface, something has changed. Something is stirring in suburbia. Leo didn't just win his battle, he started a movement. It begins innocently enough. A Reddit post titled, HOA banned goats, so I bought alpacas, goes viral. Then another one. HOA said no pools, so I filled my backyard with 500 kitty tubs. But the crown jewel of this rebellion? A new wave of homeowners proudly inspired by the Emu Man of Quail Creek. The media starts calling it the Feathers Against Fascism movement, suburban homeowners across the country finding creative, ridiculous, and legally bulletproof ways to outwit their HOAs. It's civil disobedience with sprinklers and HOA-safe font choices. The first official copycat case happens in Arizona. The HOA there banned chickens, citing noise pollution, so a woman named Denise brings home 2 peacocks. She names them Glitter and Doom. The sound of their screams echo through the cul-de-sac like judgment itself. When the HOA protests, she whips out the same line Leo once used. They're not poultry, they're ornamental security birds. The movement catches fire. Homeowners start making TikToks tagged #EmuHOA challenge, showing off their exotic legal loopholes. One guy registers a pair of turkeys as emotional support velociraptors. Another lists his geese as home surveillance personnel. Someone even trains parrots to yell, "Read the bylaws, Brenda," whenever the HOA president walks by. Soon, morning talk shows pick it up. A smirking host reads headlines like, "Suburban Revolution, Homeowners Fight Back with Birds," while the camera cuts to Leo, cool, calm, and sipping coffee in front of Zeus and Hera, now wearing official neighborhood watch tags. When asked what inspired him, he shrugs, just following the rules, aggressively.
The internet eats it up. Memes flood social media. Zeus and Hera get verified on Instagram, and even Time magazine runs a feature titled "The Bird That Beat the HOA." Of course, not everyone's thrilled. The National HOA Federation, yes, that's a thing now, calls an emergency summit. Brenda Wexler, now semi-retired, semi-infamous, and fully traumatized, sits on a panel titled "Maintaining Control in the Age of Homeowner Creativity." Her opening line, "It started with chickens, it ended with chaos." But the tide can't be stopped. Every attempt to tighten rules only sparks new loopholes. Ban chickens, they'll get ducks. Ban ducks, someone finds a loophole for flamingos. Ban pets altogether, one guy adopts bees and calls it pollinator security. The HOA's once iron grip on suburban life is slipping, replaced by a wave of homeowners who now read bylaws for sport. They're educated, sarcastic, and completely unhinged. They quote Leo like he's a folk hero. You don't break the rules. You use them until they break themselves. Meanwhile, back in Quail Creek, life's good. The lawns are neat, the neighbors are chill, and Zeus and Hera have become honorary mascots of the town. There's even a mural downtown, 2 emus in sunglasses, with the words, "Stay compliant, stay defiant." At the annual HOA barbecue, which Brenda now attends with visible PTSD but surprising good humor, people raise their glasses to Leo, the man who turned a simple chicken ban into a nationwide homeowner awakening. He just smiles and says, "I didn't start a revolution. I just read the fine print." Old Man Fitz chuckles beside him. "That's how every revolution starts, son." And somewhere, far away, a new homeowner opens a letter from their HOA that says, "No livestock." They look up, smirk, and whisper to themselves, "Time to get creative." But the story doesn't truly end there, because in Fact 10, we wrap it all up. The moral, the legacy, and how one man's petty rebellion became the ultimate lesson in standing up to authority. HOA style.
Every legend ends with silence. That moment when the laughter fades, the dust settles, and the HOA newsletter pretends none of it ever happened. But the truth? Quail Creek was never the same again. The grass still grows evenly. The trash cans still come out on Tuesdays. Brenda Wexler still drives her golf cart like she's patrolling the gates of purgatory. But somewhere deep in the HOA collective subconscious, there's a little voice that whispers, "Don't mess with the bird guy." Because what Leo started wasn't just a prank, or a stunt, or a loophole gone viral. It was a declaration of intent. A message to every clipboard-wielding micromanager in suburbia. Sometimes following the rules too well is the most rebellious thing you can do. The emus, Zeus and Hera, became symbols of that rebellion. They weren't just guard birds anymore. They were suburban folklore, the feathered saints of homeowner freedom. Kids grew up hearing the story. Once a man got tired of HOA nonsense and brought dinosaurs to the barbecue. And every time Brenda passes Leo's house, she can't help but glance over the fence. The emus don't glare at her anymore. They just exist. Calm, majestic, an unspoken truce between chaos and control. Sometimes she even waves. Sometimes they even wave. Leo, meanwhile, doesn't chase fame. He's content, sitting on his porch, coffee in hand, watching Zeus chase butterflies and Hera preen under the morning sun. Occasionally, he checks his emails, still flooded with messages from strangers around the country asking for advice. How do I stand up to my HOA? Can I register a llama as a therapy animal? Do you think flamingos count as poultry? He replies to most with the same 3 words. Read the bylaws. Because that's the real takeaway, isn't it? Not every rebellion needs fire and fury. Sometimes all it takes is knowing the rule book better than the people who wrote it and a willingness to look ridiculous doing it. The HOA tried to bury him in paperwork. He buried them in paperwork and feathers. And the internet never forgot. Documentaries were made, podcasts dissected the Great Emu Incident. Even Netflix called, though Leo declined politely. I don't want to relive Brenda's PowerPoint trauma. But the legacy goes beyond memes. Across America, HOAs quietly began changing rules. softening rules, allowing gardens, even relaxing noise restrictions. Because every boardroom now feared the phrase, "Remember what happened in Quail Creek?" Brenda herself, believe it or not, eventually found peace. She stepped down as HOA president 6 months later, citing stress and unforeseen avian complications. These days, she runs a community Facebook group called Harmony in the Neighborhood. And yes, the banner photo features Zeus and Hera. When asked about it during a local news interview, she chuckles softly. "They taught me something. You can't control everything. And sometimes, the birds are right." That line alone breaks the internet again. 1 year later, Quail Creek holds its first ever Freedom Fair, a neighborhood celebration of individuality, creativity, and harmless chaos. Booths line the streets, homemade crafts, backyard inventions, food trucks, and one very special attraction at the center, the Guard Bird Experience. Kids take photos with Zeus and Hera, while parents joke, "Careful, they're licensed security professionals." Leo watches it all from the sidelines, smiling quietly. Old Man Fitz finds him holding 2 lemonades. "You know, you didn't just win, son. You changed the whole game." Leo takes a sip, grinning. "Nah, I just followed the rules better than they did." As the sun sets, the fair lights twinkle. The emus stand proud beside the freedom fence, once the symbol of HOA oppression, now wrapped in string lights and decorated with tiny wooden signs painted by neighborhood kids. One reads, "In birds we trust." And as laughter fills the air, Leo looks out over the peaceful chaos and thinks, maybe this is what real community looks like. No fear, no fines, no beige regime. Just people and birds living on their own terms. The camera pans back. The cul-de-sac glows like something out of a dream. The perfect balance of structure and freedom. The kind of place where everyone finally gets along, except on garbage day. Leo, final line. "So yeah, the HOA banned chickens. I got 2 emus. Turns out the secret to happiness was never asking for permission." If you laughed, learned, or just felt spiritually seen by this suburban chaos, hit that like button, subscribe for more HOA drama, and remember, when life gives you bylaws, get creative.